2 months ago, my girlfriend and I broke up. Such a strange thing, trying to let go of something that was so good. Like, she supported me so well, but, you know, now that's not there.
It sucked. It was horrible at first. The memories of her and I constantly replayed in my mind. I remember crying so hard on this couch I had to shut the window so people couldn't hear me outside. I remember watching the clock on those days, waiting for time to pass by as my emotionally drained, tired, and beaten up mind imagined what it would be like to be over all of it. It was easy to feel alone within all the pain. Really easy to feel alone. Normal life became so difficult. Being a human is so excruciating yet so beautiful. We learn to love, hold on so tight, to see a morning together lead to a night alone. But these captured frames will never die, even after I, myself, am dry bones. At the same time in my life, my internet friend Max shot me an invite to go to Creator Camp to hang out with over 30 other filmmakers, artists, entrepreneurs, and storytellers for a whole week. Talk about emotional juxtaposition. If I were a Venn diagram, one side of me was this vibrant, aspiring filmmaker, hungry to learn, to grow, and to pursue this dream wholeheartedly, and on the other side was this broken, hurting, and emotionally drained human being. But I knew I had to go to camp. It was so in line with my dream of becoming a writer and director of my own films, so I said yes. Little did I know I would realize something that would change the way I viewed creativity and humanity as a whole. Don't worry, by the end of the video you'll understand. But how'd I end up here? As long as I can remember, I've been creative. It started small, telling stories to my parents, building Legos, and making stop-motion videos. Like a tiny little gas leak waiting for the perfect time to explode. Then, when I was 14 years old, I created my first YouTube video, and it all sparked. I was hooked. I couldn't stop making videos. Getting older, I got deep into films. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Tarantino, La La Land, and of course, all things A24. Then one day, when I was 16 years old, it hit me. Wait, I want to direct my own films. Only problem was, I was the only person I knew with this dream, let alone a passion for storytelling through filmmaking. The path of a passionate creative can be a lonely one. 3 years and 120 plus YouTube videos later, just like Sir Isaac Newton's apple, an idea fell into my head, and Edison screwed in the light bulb, and it felt like Stanley Kubrick flipped the switch. Wait, what if I created a video series online where I pursued directing my own films? Little did I know that single thought would change my life. And like that, becoming a filmmaker was born. Slowly but surely, my work was connecting with like-minded individuals all across the US and the world. And in a few short months, way more people than I ever thought were on board with my mission, which only made me believe in the dream even more. Then her and I broke up. And before I knew it, I was headed to Creator Camp. As the lines connecting myself and other like-minded creatives finally began to fill in, my personal pain was just so loud. And honestly, I felt pretty alone. But in the same breath, so stoked. Being a human can be pretty freaking weird. But being a creative is pretty freaking rad. So this is Creator Camp. It's been really freaking awesome so far. It feels like I'm with my people. Like a sharp needle sticks deep within my soul, her brown eyes were burned under my heart. Detaching admittedly heals a lot of the hurt. Loving is letting go, so they say.
A lot of creatives, like, we can't really explain, like, why we do what we do. I think a lot of people that create, or a lot of artists, are broken in some sense, and then they create these things and these worlds and these art pieces to kind of exist in or make themselves feel whole.
Being a creative feels like compulsivity for me. Like there's this idea violently bouncing around in my brain, and I might not even know what it is yet, but it is there and it has to come out. And I think that describes imagination pretty well. More recently, this dream of mine to be a writer and director is at the same time wildly exciting to pursue, as well as terrifying. Terrifying because it's so unknown, and it once felt like this really far off thing, but now being regularly in contact with brilliant people and people who believe in me, there's this sense of pressure in an odd way. Like, holy crap, this is actually going to be a reality.
That's a phrase I've been saying a lot. Like, just talking about the single Becoming a Filmmaker video on my Instagram that took off, and thinking about it from a place of like, wow, what the frick is life, you know, giving me so much rad opportunity, and it's just such a blessing, like truly such a blessing.
And sure, pressure produces diamonds, and I'm admittedly so stoked, and this is where I feel two things at once. Again, fear and excitement. The duality is crazy, and that was a lot of what was on my mind at camp, filled with fear, excitement, and a whole lot of imagination. But like, this is just like a bunch of people loving what they do and then doing it together, which has been rad. And the people I've been able to meet has been even cooler.
I've been kicking it with Serafina, Zach, and Aiden. We went and got groceries all together, and we whipped in my my beater Civic, and getting to bring really creative, awesome people into that world of like something as small as like my car. Only other people that have been in there are like the people that I know in real life. I guess a lot of this doesn't feel like real life because it's so special.
Ever since I can remember, there's been this thought of never feeling like I was enough in whatever I did creatively. Like my work could always be better, and don't get me wrong, it always can be, and it always will be getting better. But there's almost this fear attached, a fear of failure, or heck, even a fear of success. Truly, I'm not quite sure which it is. Whatever it is, this feeling tends to get heightened in social situations, and I learned especially with other creatives, which I've come to identify as imposter syndrome. At camp, even though I was with people who supported me so strongly, this feeling didn't just die. Actually, the thought was quite strong at times. The fear of not being good enough to be around wildly talented individuals. This camp was supposed to be a joyful time to connect with other like-minded people, but I'd be finding myself stuck in my head, internally worrying about me. So surrounded by top-tier creatives, but still at times feeling alone. To be a bird, an eagle, or a fish, to fly, nest, or swim. Maybe it's easier for them. These emotional hues make it all feel like a painting. I heard it once said, as humans, our lives, and especially as artists, are like heartbeats. We have these peaks and valleys, amazing times, even times of inspirational euphoria, to come down to emotional lows and inspirational droughts. But it's all a part of the human condition. Like, this is just how life is. This is what it's like to be a person and what it's like to be a creative. As they say, without the lows, we wouldn't have the highs. But I mean, the lows undeniably suck. Do they not? But as the heart monitor displays these highs and lows of life, if we were to choose to not feel any of it, we would flatline and go numb, leaving us in this deadened state where we have a lack of sensitivity that's needed as a creative. Not only that, but those lows are needed for us to learn. Those lows are crucial to be able to see to the other side for the next time a low comes along. These lows can be painful. Some can be a string of thoughts that lead to a season of being low, and some lows are just a single thought. At Creator Camp, it was a subtle but deadly thought of feeling inadequate. In the midst of this reoccurring imposter syndrome, a couple things can happen. One being giving in to this thought, the notion that maybe I'm actually not good enough or actually capable of what I've set out to do, and living in the lie. Or the other is to completely realize that thought is there, but actively choose to ignore it and push through to the other side.
My now ex-girlfriend taught me something like a few weeks before we
split up, and I was out on this shoot, and I was super nervous, full imposter syndrome, like, oh man, I don't deserve to be here. And she's like, you do, and you're gonna do great. And something her friend taught her was like, look at everything and just be grateful. Like, look at like the weather we're having, and be like, thank you for this.
When you have gratitude in mind, like your brain doesn't have space to be anxious.
Yes.
Yeah, so you just push it out by being grateful.
Yeah.
You're grateful for everything.
You can't fear and be grateful at the same time.
And that's what I chose to do. After learning from past lows, it's easier to see to the other side.
And casting your cares on God of like, dude, something horrible happened, praise God.
A way of living surrounded in what God has given you in life and being thankful for it. The highs, the lows, the joys, and the pain.
Full moon, outside on a wager. I just wanna settle in and figure out the little things.
I feel this imposter syndrome, and I've talked to so many people, and they've felt that too of, man, like in my head, it's like, they don't like you, they don't want you here. And like, I know that's not true, or like the feelings of like, oh, they're just saying that you do good work. But then the juxtaposition of that is like actually such a beautiful time, and I've said that before in life, and I've said that, like, oh, it's such a sick time, and I've actually been like miserable before. I've said that. This is genuinely such a good time.
It was amidst these thoughts when I realized the thing that would change my whole perspective on creativity and humanity. Something so deeply tied to the human experience. We as people will always be in pain in some way. That's just how it is. Whether we just got out of a painful time in life, or we're about to go into one, or maybe we're processing pain from the past. The point is, we have pain, and we need to process it.
What is the thing within you that causes you to pour out?
It's a wonderful question. I don't know. It used to be just a way to process what I was going through, in a way.
I don't know how to explain it, but like, just that feeling of making something good. It's like therapy, you know? Just hits the heart.
Loneliness I felt in the past, where I wanted to fix that or close that gap in my own life through putting things out on the internet, or a lot of loneliness probably in my youth.
Naturally, this caused me to become much more introspective about my own creative journey, and it really came into focus. It's in those times of heightened emotion and pain where I go to art and creating to process my thoughts, emotions, and feelings. In fact, I can notice my drive to create gets stronger when I'm going through something difficult. This is all a cacophony, an out-of-focus image, until a connection is made, and in just a blink of an eye, it makes a whole lot more sense. Camp was beautiful. I'm endlessly thankful for all the connections, and for Max, Ryan, Simon, and Chris for having me along. Being side by side with a ton of creatives who are continually learning to not only be better storytellers, but better people too, was so inspiring. And now I'm back home, looking back at the past 2 months, thinking about how I'm no longer with her. With it, there's still these remaining pieces of pain I experience, and I have to look at it face to face on a regular basis. And day by day, the pain slowly loses its sting. But as she taught me, when I look at the pain and the fear of it consuming me, I continually choose to ask God for gratefulness within it. Because you can't experience fear and gratefulness at the same time. And to sum up this whole story, I think Rick Rubin puts it best. Art creates a profound connection between the artist and the audience. Through that connection, both can heal. Am I fully healed yet? No. And will I experience hurt again? Yes. And there's something kind of beautiful about that.